the sea was never silent in war. Engines hummed, shells screamed, and steel trembled beneath the weight of duty. By 1942, the ocean had become the most dangerous battlefield on Earth. Aircraft hunted ships like wolves, and ships struck back with teeth of steel and flame. But the war's outcome would soon depend on two unlikely heroes, the Bofors and the Oerlikon. Both were born far from the Pacific, in workshops lit by Europe's fatting peace. In Switzerland, engineers crafted a weapon that was light, fast, and easy to use. They called it the Oerlikon, a 20mm cannon that spat shells faster than thought. It was meant for small ships and aircraft, quick to build, quick to fire. In Sweden, another design took shape, heavier, deadlier, built for a longer reach. The Bofors 40mm gun was no ordinary cannon. It fired explosive shells twice the size of the Oerlikons, with greater range and power. It could strike aircraft at distances that once seemed impossible for a ship's deck gun. When the world descended into total war, both weapons found their moment. Each would serve on nearly every front, carried by navies desperate for survival. When the war began, the Allies faced a problem they hadn't prepared for. Enemy bombers could appear from nowhere, diving faster than gunners could react. Old deck guns were too slow. Their traverse and elevation couldn't match airspeed. What the fleets needed was something smaller, sharper, and relentlessly fast. The Oerlikon and the Bofors became that answer, one close, one farther out. The Oerlikon was first to spread. Compact and rugged, it could be bolted to almost any surface that stayed level. Submarine decks, merchant ships, and destroyers all sprouted these slim black barrels. Its single gunner could load and fire continuously, magazine after magazine, without pause. In the cold Atlantic, it was the sailor's best friend and last defense. The Bofors was different, more complex, more demanding, but infinitely more powerful. It came in twin and quad mounts, each fed by teams of sweating loaders. Its shells exploded on contact, ripping enemy aircraft apart before they could dive. American engineers copied and mass-produced it in staggering numbers. Soon, every cruiser and carrier carried its deep-throated roar across the oceans. By 1943, the twin rhythm of both guns echoed from every Allied ship. The Oerlikon's quick snap, snap, snap cut through the wind. The Bofors answered with heavy thuds, slower but devastating in impact. Together they created a layered wall of fire, short range and medium range combined. It was this partnership that would save countless lives during the war's darkest days. In convoy battles across the Atlantic, German bombers came hunting in waves. Merchant ships, once helpless, now bristled with Oerlikons and a few Bofors mounts. When Stukas or Heinkels dived, tracers met them in brilliant streams of light. Many still hit their marks, but more were driven off or destroyed mid-attack. The balance between ship and sky had finally begun to shift. The Pacific was where both weapons proved their worth beyond question. Against the Imperial Japanese Navy, the Allies faced an enemy that mastered the skis. Zeros and dive bombers attacked from all directions, fast and precise as hawks. Every second mattered. Every degree of aim could mean survival or loss. The gunners learned to trust their weapons, and the weapons earned their loyalty. Oerlikon crews were often teenagers, trained for weeks then thrown into battle. They learned by instinct, watching tracers curve, adjusting for speed and wind. Each magazine held 60 rounds, gone in less than 10 seconds of fire. They fought not with technology, but with nerve and memory forged in fear. Their guns overheated, their arms shook, but they never stopped firing. The Bofors gunners worked in teams, rhythm keeping them alive and efficient. Loaders slammed 4-round clips into feed slots as barrels smoked and recoiled. One man tracked the target, another aimed elevation, another steadied the traverse. The weapon's complexity became its strength. Every part had a purpose. Against low-flying aircraft, its explosive shells made survival almost impossible. By 1944, naval engineers understood what these weapons had truly become. They weren't just defenses, they were deterrents. Enemy pilots learned to fear the fiery curtain of Bofors bursts long before attack. The Oerlikon and Bofors together made any approach a gamble of death. Even the mighty Japanese Navy began losing planes faster than it could replace them. But then came a new terror, the Kamikaze. Pilots who would not turn away, who aimed to die for destruction's sake. No rate of fire could stop everyone. Ships were struck even as gunners emptied their last magazines into incoming flames. The sea became a graveyard of courage and exhaustion. In those months, the Bofors proved its ultimate value. Its shells could shatter planes before impact, giving ships a final line of hope. Oerlikons, though brave in action, lacked the range to reach many diving attackers. Their time was passing, their role shifting closer to short-range support. The Bofors took command of the sky and held it with relentless precision. The statistics told the story long after the guns fell silent. Most confirmed aircraft kills by Allied ships came from Bofors fire. It had range, power, and stability that made it the gold standard of defense. The Oerlikon had done its duty too, saving lives when nothing else stood ready. Together, they were the armor of the fleet, forged from necessity and genius. After the war, their influence did not fade. Nations around the world kept their Bofors guns in service for decades. They were upgraded, radar-guided, automated, and fitted to new warships. Even today, echoes of their design live in modern naval systems. The principle they proved, fast, accurate, layered defense, remains unchanged. The Oerlikon name survived too, evolving into advanced autocannons for jet-age warfare. Though the original 20 model retired, its descendants guard skis and ships alike. Its simplicity became the foundation for new designs built on precision and control. In many ways, the Bofors and Oerlikon never left the battlefield. They just evolved. Their spirit continues wherever men and machines defend against the sky. But beyond the steel and fire, this story is human. It is the story of gunners who stood in open air, facing screaming aircraft. Men whose hands blistered from heat, whose ears never stopped ringing. They loaded until their arms bled, shouted over engines, and prayed between bursts. They fought not for glory, but because the man beside them depended on it. Every victory in those brutal skis came from teamwork, weapon, and will combined. Each gun was more than machinery. It was an anchor of hope and defiance. When survivors spoke later, they remembered the rhythm more than the fear. The way the Bofors thudded like a giant's heartbeat, steady and final. The way the Oerlikon barked rapid defiance into approaching shadows. By war's end, both weapons had earned immortality in the annals of naval warfare. Their barrels were worn smooth, their paint scorched, but their legend indestructible. The fleets that sailed home carried them still, symbols of survival and strength. For every ship that made it through, there was a gun crew that refused to break. Their weapons had spoken for them in smoke, thunder, and unwavering resolve. Today, the names Bofors and Oerlikon are spoken with quiet reverence by historians. Not for conquest, but for defense, for the lives they saved, not the ones they took. They remind us that even in the chaos of war, courage can take mechanical form. A weapon can become a shield, and a machine can hold the line for humanity. The ocean may forget battles, but it never forgets the men who fought them. And so the story of these two guns remains part of naval eternity. The Oerlikon, the first line of fire, swift and fearless. The Bofors, the last word before silence, powerful and unyielding. Together, They guarded a generation through the storm that changed the world. Their thunder still echoes across history, carried by waves that never truly rest.